everybody, welcome back to another episode of More Than the Title. I'm your host as usual, Jarrett, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And you know I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. What's good, baby?
I got on yellow today.
Got the mustard.
The sun will shine, the sun will shine.
the mustard DJ thermal.
I will let you know I'm branding, ladies and gentlemen. You know how my cousin feel about branding, so you know he gets excited when I brand out. So I'm branding, cuz just for you. You know what I'm saying?
And if you like the mustard, you know you can get your you can scan it right now if you want. You can go get your stuff. The Father's Day orders spike. So if you want to get your shirt, you want to get the bet on yourself, you want to get how to build relationships and revenue course, make sure y'all scan the QR code. Come rock with us. You're gonna get the real, man.
Yeah, and remember, we got to start off the show the same way, man. Grateful and thankful, ladies and gentlemen. We're grateful to be here another day, doing what we absolutely love to do, and that's bring y'all this amazing content, man. And we appreciate it.
Oh, well, took you off again. Damn, wait, hold on. He was flowing too.
Damn.
Oh, no.
What the is wrong with this guy? Am I getting me or what?
Here we go with the other podcast shit, trying to interrupt what the fuck we got going on. Yo, it never, let me tell you something. It never fails, man. Every time we on a roll, it's like shit that never happens. You want to call?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, we don't play that.
Hold on, let me check the settings on it.
In the meantime, while Cousin's checking the audio, man, let's go. Let's shout out our distribution partners, the Live Podcast Network, the first Black-owned, women-owned podcast network in the world, and it's the top Black podcast network in the world. It's beat out Black Effect, it's beat out Revolt Network, and a lot of different networks, man. Shout out to Angel Levers, the entire team. They're working hard. And if you want more content from Black content creators like More Than the Title, make sure y'all scan the QR code, man. They doing their thing out here. You know what I mean? All right,
okay. Let me see. I got bars. The levels is good.
Levels is leveling.
I think I figured it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tell you what podcast that was trying to infiltrate us, but understand this will not go across lightly. We see you. Know. We see you.
Shit.
They better
do my motherfucking intro. but before we introduce our guests, I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm absolutely honored to be a part of this interview. We've had this person on our show before, a phenomenal guy. And I didn't get a chance to be a part of that interview. So I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of this interview. And we're extremely grateful that he decided to come back on the show, you know what I mean? And drop some more gems with us, man. This is what we're doing.
That's it, man. With that being said, let's get to it. Let's give him an intro.
Let's start the show.
Make it happen, y'all. So let's get this brother the real intro. This brother is a renowned marketer, cultural translator, and professor at the Ross School of Business, University of Michigan, with a distinguished career that includes roles at Wieden+Kennedy, Apple. This brother has shaped how brands connect with diverse audiences through culturally contagious ideas. He's also an award-winning career and best-selling book author of the book For the Culture, which explores the profound impact of culture on consumer choices and societal behaviors. From his experience working with global brands to his research on cultural contagion and meme making, this brother speaks actionable strategies from anyone from marketers to activists can use to leverage culture effectively. Let's introduce our brother, Dr. Marcus Collins, y'all. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. And since we're doing branded.
There it is. For the culture, baby. Why not? I love it.
I told you in the first episode, what got me was the Martin lettering.
That's right.
Talk about branding. So I didn't know Dr. Collins. I just go on my feed. I'm like for the culture with the Martin lettering. I know he tapped in with the coach, and I happened to reach out, and then I actually started doing my research on you, brother. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Yo, I loved our first interview. The vibes is high. Yeah. Y'all stay wildin'. I love it. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I told Dr. Collins, and be clear, it's doctor in front of that. He didn't put it up on his name tag, but be clear, it's Dr. Marcus Collins in this message. Put some RESPEK, put some respect on his. We ain't gonna say it no more. We ain't gonna say it no more. But yes, I told Dr. Collins, man, I've heard a lot of positive things about him before, he came back on the show, man, and how I appreciated the fact that I heard so many positive things about him, man. And, you know, because oftentimes you hear a lot of negative things about people coming on and you be kind of iffy, like, you know, we don't want to play political gambits and you know what I mean? Should we bring him on or not? But, you know, this brother, man, I've heard nothing but absolutely positive things about him, man, which says a lot for the culture, man, leading by example. So we appreciate that.
Grateful.
And we're gonna put more respect on your name. First of all, he's one of the first people to work with digital strategists for Beyonce. He's also created memorable campaigns like the Cliff Paul campaign for State Farm. This brother was just at Cannes last month. Put it on you everywhere, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I said it behind the scenes. How do you balance all of this shit? Because I just saw you on Kerry's interview. Shout out to Kerry Wagwan and Kerry. We love you. Well, you everywhere, bro.
Yo,
done no.
I consider myself I'm very fortunate. God's been good to me. God's been good. The opportunities have been awesome, and the situation has been such I've been able to move in agile places. And truthfully, like, you know, the book did a lot for me because it retired me from the agency world, which gave me tons of access capacity. And what I've realized is, man, that the greatest luxury is freedom.
Message.
You never lie about that.
Freedom. So I had the freedom to say, I want to do this, I don't want to do that. And so it seems like I do a lot because I feel like I had the opportunity to do it and the agency to do it, to make it happen.
But it's also not just having the freedom, it's being able to pick and choose and doing what you want and doing what you love, man, versus you just being in a hamster wheel and the cog. But I'm also, like you said, you retired for the agency. Do agencies still call you up for consulting? Because how could they not, bro? Yeah. Like, come on. How could they not have you in the war room?
Well, so I get to practice still in what I call a professor in residence. So it's not a consultancy because I don't like that terminology so much, but instead I do it as a professor in residence. My job in that capacity is to help brands or other agencies see the world differently. Take the scholarship that I've studied, understanding culture, meaning making, and its impact and influence on behavioral adoption, and apply it to their work. So I've got a chance to work. I've had the chance to work with some agencies as a professor in residence. I still work with many brands in that capacity, like McDonald's and Converse. You know, I get a chance to work with some pretty dope brands.
Hold on for a second. I'm hearing a very almost like ear piercing noise. You don't hear it?
Nah, bro.
It's from my microphone.
Can you mute your mic for 1 second? Let me. Yes.
Oh,
that's what it is.
All right, let me switch mics for a second.
Yeah, I'm getting some. It's like a very low feedback sound.
Everybody on the check-in, if y'all hear it, let us know. Put something in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. But this is what happens when you live stream.
Better? Is this better?
Much better.
Sweet.
Much better. I listen, Hayes. That's because I got wolf ears. Matter of fact, I just heard what you said about me under your breath, Hayes. Be careful.
I appreciate y'all getting me right. Got to get me right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't want you to unfortunately, when you go live, if anything comes up, we're not doing post editing, right? So we don't want to do this whole interview and then the audio doesn't come through as clear as we wanted to do. You know what I mean? So that was perfect on that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Word up.
Yeah, but you said that work with Nike, Converse, a few brands that you may know of. You know what I'm saying? I love that.
It's a beautiful situation, man. I consider myself so unbelievably grateful because I know that not everybody get the same opportunities. So when you get an opportunity, you got to take advantage of your advantage. So I'm just gonna go hard.
And I'm gonna say this too. These major agencies are not reaching out to you by accident, right? Yes. They're not reaching out to you by accident. It's a testament to not only your work ethic, but the level of work that you provide when you do show up, right? Absolutely. Because they're looking at these billion-dollar agencies are looking at your previous work, talking to people. Is he easy to work with? They want to understand the overall dynamic of what it is to bring Dr. Marcus Collins onto the project. So when they're hearing nothing but these good things and they're being flooded with you got to be an idiot not to hire this guy. That's why they're just reaching out almost seemingly like automatic, right? So So, I just want you to, take the time to take that win for yourself, because they didn't set that up. You set that up with your work ethic and your dynamic. So, I want to give you another clap for just
I appreciate
showing up and showing out every single time. That's what that means, man.
That's real. But
I appreciate
that's a good segue too. That's a good question, because now when you work with these brands like Nike and Converse on a consulting level, how do they judge success when you're in those rooms now versus you being in the agency?
Yeah, well, and from an agency perspective, I'm typically, my work as a strategist is to create the context by which we can sell them ideas that are creative executions of the strategic work. So the measurement typically happens based upon how well the creative work performs in the marketplace. As a professor in residence, I would say like the appraisal of my work is more so about how it changes the way the organization sees the world and how the organization works. And what I find the most fulfilling is that I may come through the door as a marketer, right? Help us with our marketing, help us better understand culture, what subcultures should we be tapping into, so on and so on and so on. I may come in through that door, but in many ways, I end up becoming sort of a consigliere to the leadership on how to think about the internal culture. Because the truth of the matter is that, like, you have to understand the external consumer. You got to understand them if you are to connect with them through their cultural subscription. But you also need to have the internal consumer, the team, the employee.
They gotta have to buy it.
Culture has to be as such they can actually execute against what you know of the external consumer culture. Man, Peter Drucker is a very famed marketing theorist, or he's like a business management theorist. He'd say that it was misattributed to him, but they quote him as saying, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast," and he's right. Because if this
screaming baby,
get the screaming baby.
if the strategy ain't tight, man, this is not going to work. If the strategy could be, there could be so many brilliant ideas brought forward, but if the culture isn't as such that it can execute against it, it's never going to work. So my work these days are very much judged by the ability to impact the culture, the way the organization sees the world.
Yeah, that's real, man. Because I'm gonna keep it real with you, Dr. Collins, and I agree with you 100%. We speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, especially Black ones, right? And the biggest issue that a lot of small businesses have is marketing. They cannot get the marketing, and then culture is such a broad, it's a vague word. It can mean a lot of different things, right? Because culture means something different to everybody. I think it's subjective, right? So what advice would you give to small Black business owners to tap into culture to help propel their business? What are some cool things they could do within budget?
That's exactly why I wrote the book, for that very reason, because we talk about culture all the time.
Oh man, see, we didn't.
It's a layup. I'm Steve Nash. I told you.
You couldn't have timed that better. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I read the book, baby. So I just give you the finger roll.
I saw it coming down the court, fam. I saw it coming down the court
right there. The other way.
Yeah, I mean, the idea there is that like we all know intuitively how important culture is, right? We know it, but we don't have the best language to describe it, and therefore we aren't empowered to leverage it, right? It's like we need a better Rosetta Stone to talk about culture so that we can harness its power in the work that we do. So what does that mean for entrepreneurs, especially Black entrepreneurs? Well, the interesting part is that Black culture typically leads American culture, typically leads what we call popular culture.
Talk about it.
It starts with us. So one would argue that we have a bit of an advantage because we are part of the cultural producers.
Yeah.
So when we are creating ideas and we're finding white space in the market, our proximity to culture benefits us greatly. So you got to take advantage of your advantage, whether it's understanding the cultural zeitgeist as such that you're going to put things in the world, be it, art, literature, film, music, movies, television, podcasts, or whatever the case may be, that is representative of the cultural subscription of a group of people that will essentially become the dominant cultural production. Or you look at a group of people like us who are terribly underserved, terribly underestimated, and terribly overlooked, and go, this is a point of friction that people like me have. I know it better than most because I am of that community, or no one's even paying attention to those communities. So I want to serve them. And as a result, you find yourself in a place helping people get their jobs done, their functional job, emotional job, and social job, which only increases the likelihood that people will value what you do and ultimately consume.
Yeah, it is.
Message.
Woo, we gonna get the shit now.
The shit.
Yeah, the shit.
We gonna get to the shit. You ready to get to the shit?
But you know, I gotta say this, Dr. K. They love it on YouTube. They love them. Oh, here we go. So Majestic Queen said, I'm an entrepreneur and I know thousands of people. I post on Instagram and Facebook. I'm noticing that strangers support me more often than friends, and it hurts sometimes.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to go that way, because when you said that,
let's
Dr.
go then.
Collins,
Yeah, let's go.
No, because that's when we talk about culture, right? We're talking about our culture, right? We're a Black-owned business. We've been in business for 1 year and 6 months. We have not done one stitch of business with a Black brand, and we do everything for the culture. So the same culture that we're representing is not the ones that really champion us, right? And that's real talk. So I would feel you on Majestic, because it's strangers, the people from Canada, Germany, Chicago, Los Angeles. But are the ones in the Bronx, when I go outside to see me every day, are they supporting? Sometimes, and maybe not, right? So you have to get past that. So when you say culture, I think, yes, we have the involvement to use the culture. The problem is the people who aren't part of the culture have the resources to leverage it more to progress their brand and their priorities more than we do.
I mean, I think that they're spot on. I think
spot on.
Queen makes she asks a really provocative question,
right?
And it's, you know, it's a tale as old as time, that, you know, there sometimes strangers will support you more than your people. I mean, just keep it totally funky, you know, like, you know, I've got more support from people I don't know with regards to my book than people I do know. Right. Like, you know, people will be like, hey, how can I help? Like, I want to, you know, tell other people about it. I want you to come in and give a talk. I want, like, you know, and I think the idea there is that, unfortunately, sometimes we take our people for granted. And I don't liken it to anything malice or malicious. I think it's like sometimes we go like, oh, that's just Marcus, you know, like it's just Marcus. And oftentimes, you know, people are like, I've supported you in all these other many ways, and maybe I didn't support you to the fidelity you thought I would in this case. And you go, okay,
message.
Yeah, you know,
I would
talk about that. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll tell Queen is that, like, you know, listen, we talk about people exist in context. Right. They exist in context. So they may have supported you in one way and not supported you in this way. It doesn't discount the fact that they have supported you. The idea is find the people who believe. Find people who believe, who see. And when they hear you talk, when they hear your product or see your product, or they use your thing, they go, yo, that's what's up. And then they evangelize on your behalf. And somewhere down the line, your people will come along. Somewhere down the line. If only,
gotta listen to him, you learn something.
If only just to be socially included. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, I think that's probably one of the number one debates that me and my cousin and other guests have on this show. I mean, episode after episode, it's what does support actually look like, right? And then when you're expecting support from a person in a certain manner and they don't give you that, are they still not supporting you in a different manner, right? I think this is a hard lesson that we have to learn. And I had this conversation with a couple friends of mine throughout the weekend, right? I think one of the issues with us is it's the, you know, okay, let me do it like this, right? You know how everybody says, like, everybody has like a love language. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the best way I think I could explain. Like, everybody has a love language, right? So there's different love languages. Some people need affirmation. Some people need touch, acts of service, stuff like that. So if my love language isn't affirmations, you telling me you love me every day doesn't come across to me the way it comes across to you. Right. If my love language is acts of service, you supporting me every day, I don't care about the money, then unless you're doing that, I'm not going to receive it the same way you're giving it. And I think that's what's happening in our society, right? We are looking for support that looks like version A, right? But a person might not be able to give that support in version A, but they're giving us B, C, and D. but it's not translating as they're supporting us, because technically we're not looking for B, C, and D. We're looking for A. So I think communication within the culture, us saying, hey, this is what we need, like call and response, like this is what we need. Can you give it? This is what we need. Can you give it? I think that'll kind of help us as a culture start to develop and understand certain people need help in different ways, and then not hold each other such accountable. And you know what I mean? Because you don't want to make a person feel bad if they feel like, yo, I've supported you in everything that you've done. You know what I mean? And, and when you sit back and think like, damn, you actually did. We talk and we do this and we do that. And yeah, okay, I didn't buy a shirt, but I've done it. You know, we don't want to do that, because then you start alienating your day ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
You start alienating your core fan base, and that's not something that you want to do, because then you lose those initial day one people that was there for you throughout the journey. So I think we need to just work on that communication.
Message.
Amen. Amen. I think that's so well said. It's like you got to look at it in context. You know, you got to look at it in context. And I think it's easy for us to evaluate the way people support us based on what we want, right? As opposed to understanding who they are and what they're capable of doing in those moments. And to your point, Chadeo, they may be like, oh, I even know you wanted that from me. But like, you know, I always talk for me, like, well, maybe I didn't buy the book, but I always talk about your book. Or maybe I didn't buy the merch, but I always talk about, you know, my cousin does XYZ, he's killing it. Those things are valuable over time. You know, so you got to give people some grace, man.
That's right. I'm definitely working on it.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. Listen, one thing we're going to do is we're going to keep it transparent on this show. Like I said, me and my cousin talk about this. It's an ongoing conversation, but guess what? It's a conversation that needs to be had, because if we don't talk about it, then how can we go about actively trying to fix the problem?
Yeah.
But when we say support, right? Like, look, say you support me in version A, right? What I want, if you see me doing 2 shows a week, right? I put out 40, 50 clips a week, right? And then I go to your stories and you're posting Earn Your Leisure, Spiritual World, VSG Entertainment. Yeah. So what do you mean you can't support me in that same way? Because the same effort it took to support that person that you didn't know is the same support that I may have required in this moment.
Yeah.
So it's like people do what they want, right? And it's kind of like that, you know, like kind of like when somebody knows you, familiarity breeds disrespect, right? You don't let people get too close to you. And I think that's where the support is different, because they don't know who you are. And as they get to know you from afar, they get to love you. But that person who grew up with you in the sandbox and see you propel over them and doing more things, they look at you and view you completely differently. And it's so hard.
Well, I think that's a good shout. So like when people are sharing things that are like something I already do, and you go, fam, why don't you like shout my stuff out?
Come on.
And I think it's like, if they don't do that, then they probably owe you the gift of feedback.
Right.
And go like, yo, you know, I would share your stuff, but it's not this, that, and the third. And you go, you know what? That's a good shout. And that is support, right? That is a constructive feedback is a gift.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think the idea, though, to Chadeo's point, is that you got to be transparent about what you need. Yeah. And I'm saying that, like, telling myself that too.
You know, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you know what we need?
We gotta pay some bills. We'll be right back.
We need y'all to go get some damn merch. We need you to get a shirt, a beanie, a hat. We got how to build relationships and revenue. Dr. Collins gonna send us the link. We're gonna have the For the Culture up there. Get some merch, get something. Support your brothers, man. Back to the show. I'm sorry, y'all.
I just want to say something though, like, you know, what we value also though, is the word of mouth, right? Buying a t-shirt is dope. Word of mouth there is no ROI on word of mouth. Like you said, Dr. Collins, like when somebody shouts you out to the heavens, right? And like our guy Doug, man, like Doug's like, I love these guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you walk, like let me tell you something. We walked into a party down in Lower Manhattan to support somebody else. They didn't know we were coming. Like, say if you had an event, we would just pop up and show you support and show you, like, you don't even have to invite us. We're going to come and show you support. We walked in, Paxton Baker was there, J. Martin Alexander was there, a bunch of people was there, right? Paxton Baker is talking in a group, sees us and stops his conversation, is like, more time what's good? And everybody turning like, wait, how you know these? You guys know Paxton? We like, yeah, you want to know how, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we want that source.
Paxton's good people too.
No,
Great
people, but it's that reaction that's priceless, because what that means is you don't even know in what rooms he's actually speaking about us now.
Yeah.
You see, that's that natural, I really rock with you guys. You don't know what conversations he's having, just, you know, like subconsciously just having conversations that will carry amongst other people. Like, wow, you're bringing these guys up. Let me give them a look, or let me give them a listen. I didn't know they had a podcast. Let me check it out. That's the invaluable part. You know what I mean? Like that word of mouth is free advertising. You get that, man, and it's like to the moon. So, you know, we appreciate everybody that, you know, is doing these things for us. Don't think that because we're talking about this that we're taking you guys for granted. We are not.
Everything.
I mean, that kind of social currency is more valuable than a t-shirt purchase for sure.
Correct.
And I think, like, I love the candor of this conversation because it's thorny. I mean, like, rationally, we can say, yo, like, these people have supported me up to this point, and because they didn't buy a t-shirt, I'm going to like write them off, or because they didn't repost my thing, or write them off, or they didn't like my whatever, I'm going to write them off. Like, that's, we know that logically that's ridiculous. Like emotions, you go, but fam, come on, man. You see my post struggling at like 21 likes. Come on, make it 22.
Well, let me present this idea too. I believe that most people are sheep. Don't take it the wrong way, but most people are sheep. They're followers. They're not independent thinkers and leaders willing to put their priorities above the masses. You understand? And that's why marketing and promotion is actually designed the way it is. When you want to get an idea across, or you want to get some type of ideology across, you don't go to the person that you know is going to argue with you. You're going to fight 3 hours for no reason.
That's right.
Instead of addressing one person, you address 100. Because now if you get 60, 70 people to like you, the 30 people the 20 people that maybe was shaky, the 10 people that didn't like you, now they might sway over, because once they see the masses join, then they jump on board. And our culture is phenomenal at doing that, right? Message. On the come up, on the grind, music, artists, it doesn't matter, right? We kind of give each other a very hard time, right? We'll invest in somebody else and give them leeway if they make mistakes, and, well, it wasn't that good, but, you know, they're trying. But, you know, what we got to do, right? Make twice as less mistakes, right? Show up extra early, because we're judged on a different barometer.
Yeah.
But once it breaks and the masses accept you, then you get those situations when you build that community. You get the beehives and the Kendrick Lamar, so where it's like, you better not say nothing. I promise you, you're going to get death threats. You say something wrong about more than the title. Right now, I'm sending the powder to your house.
Sending the powder.
Well, I mean, what's interesting though is like what you're getting at is like it's scientifically founded. You know, you know, what you refer to as a social psychological phenomenon called social proof. Social proof. Yeah. Where we see other people, we go, oh, it's a way of socially learning what people like us ought to do. Yeah. And which is why culture is so influential to human behavior. Right? It's the most influential external force of human behavior, full stop, because culture moves forward on the basis of one simple question. Do people like me do something like this? The answer is yes, we do. If the answer is no, we don't. Made the decision hundreds, if not thousands of times a day, whether we're aware of it or not. So when I'm observing other people, it is, especially people like me, it is exuding a social force of me that says I should be doing that also. That's why nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. Right? You see a lot of people, you go, oh, I need to be over there because apparently everyone's over there. And even like the idea of like, you know, people are sheep. The social scientists talk about that. You've heard people, you know, conspiracy theorists talk about sheeple. But there's a sociologist named Gabriel Tard from years and years ago, like in the Durkheim days, and he said society is imitation. Like we're constantly imitating what's around us. Yeah. And when people are on board, people get on board. Here's a story for you. So I grew up in Detroit.
Oh, wait. If you're gonna give a story, let's take it in the second period.
Yep, second period, y'all. Story time.
Here we go. Story time, baby. Get the warm milk. You know, normally I have some popcorn on this motherfucker, but I didn't know it was gonna be story time. But we're gonna set it up. Go ahead, Dr. Collins.
You got your popcorn on your drink. You should be ashamed of yourself if you ain't got your popcorn on your drink.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm on my, you know, I'm back on my regimen, so I got the water.
I'm not on the regimen. I'm gonna simply sponsor us.
Yo, when Jarrett first hit me with the message a year ago, I was like, damn. But y'all keep racking it up, man. Just ratcheting it up. It's great. It's great. All right. So I'm born and raised in Detroit. Went to school in Detroit my entire life. And I remember being in high school. This had to be maybe my 9th grade year, maybe sophomore year. And Aaliyah, God rest her soul, Aaliyah comes to my high school. And the song Back and Forth was out at the time, her first single. And I remember, like, for us, like, lunch period was like a big deal. Like, that's like the social hour. And I remember being in lunch and someone said, yo, Aaliyah's in the auditorium. And people were like, so? It was like, oh, wow. Right. Because she was a Detroit artist, even though she was national, she just felt like she was from Detroit. And therefore it was like, so I'm not, whatever, I'm not paying no, never mind. But you fast forward 3 years later and 1 in a Million comes out. And Aaliyah is like, Aaliyah. And everyone's deriding, Aaliyah, oh my God, Aaliyah. And you go, wow, like, when she was next door, right? When she was literally in your school, there wasn't a lot of hoopla. There wasn't a lot of excitement, but it wasn't until she was validated outside of the city that the city was like, she's one of us, Eminem, same way. Eminem's from the D, it wasn't until validation outside that you go, oh, one of us. And I think that kind of goes back to Queen's question, is that like sometimes we just need validation outside of our people for our people to recognize who they're with.
I just got to say something real quick, Dr. Marcus. I rock with you all the time, but
I knew he was gonna give it to you for the D. I knew. I thought about it too, but it was a clip, so I was like, "No, let me not give him one quick clip."
I had to let him finish, but that Eminem is from the D is nasty. It's nasty.
It was just the tone. It was just the tone, Doc.
Pause.
Yo.
See, and actually, this is a message right here. Do you know this is what makes our shit so special and stand out? Is because of these sound effects. And guess what? Every sound effect that we pick is, guess what? Culture.
That's
something
right.
that you recognize, something that you is identifiable, right? So that's the brilliance in the marketing that we're doing. But I want to ask you a marketing question too, Doc, because our line and our phrase for marketing is impact over metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Impact over metrics, right? So I always felt marketing is kind of skewed, right? So a lot of the different things. So for instance, if I'm at Hootsuite, I'm the personal brand guy. I got 100,000 impressions, 500,000 impressions, right? You know what I'm thinking is, how is that impacting the brand? How many people seen my post and favorably think of this brand because of something I did? How many people went to the contact form, didn't say I learned it from Jarrett, but raised their hand and somebody got a commission off of it and all those different things, right? So like, what do you think of when you hear impact over metrics? Do you think that's a good marketing strategy in terms of how we approach things? Because I know metrics get you the sponsorships and the money, but how do you quantify us changing mindsets?
Well, I think
making it monetize.
I think that might be a false binary.
Okay.
I think that the two can coexist. But I think let's first start with like, well, what is a brand?
Okay.
Like, because we had to have a good language for what a brand is to talk about what makes for an impactful brand, and then how do we measure through numerical metrics whether that brand is impactful, right? So the way literature talks about brand is that brand is a signifier that conjures up thoughts and feelings in the hearts and minds of people relative to a product, person, institution, organization, or entity. Brands are vessels of meaning that when we engage with the brand, we feel and think a certain way. And because of what we think and feel, we therefore either buy or we don't. We download or we don't. We vote or we don't. We go or we don't. Like, we subscribe or we don't, right? These things are byproducts of what this vessel of meaning emotes inside of us, what cognitions are fired because of it, right? So that's what a brand is. So we ask ourselves, okay, if that's what a brand is, they are vessels of meaning, they are identifiable signifiers that conjure up thoughts and feelings in hearts and minds of people. Well, what makes for an impactful brand? Well, if brands are vessels of meaning, then an impactful brand is a brand that is full of, rich with meaning that transcends sort of what it is to what it means for me, right? So it moves beyond awareness, beyond perceived quality. It moves beyond leadership reputation, moves beyond confidence, trust, actually moves beyond associations to something that's much more ideological. Like it represents something that is an extension of my own identity, right? So to your point, using the clips, these are they're cultural works that people like us get and go, oh, I like those guys because they get me.
Message.
Well played.
Can't time it better than that.
Well played.
Let me add on
Well,
to
so
it.
let me finish it before finish the thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you add on to it. So so impactful brands are brands that have rich meaning. And usually that meaning transcends the category or the offering. So we go, okay, cool. So that's great. Like we want a brand that has rich meaning. For instance, if I said I'm about to get married, I went to a bachelor party in Las Vegas, or versus I'm going to a bachelor party in Philly. What comes to mind if I say I'm going to a bachelor party in Vegas?
Hangover. Wow, night. Tigers in the bathroom.
About to turn up, right?
Mike Tyson tattoo, face tattoos.
Right. Exactly. We're about to turn up.
Face tattoo.
It's about to we have to wild out, right?
Yeah.
But if I say I'm having my bachelor party in Philly, what comes to mind?
The hood.
Boring. Hate them.
The hood. How you going to Philly?
We beat the Knicks. I know we beat them.
You have a bachelor party under the Liberty Bell?
The question Chadeo says is like spot on, because you would go, oh, why Philly? You got family in Philly or whatever?
Right.
Because the brand Philadelphia does not fit the context of what you expect a bachelor party to be.
Right.
That's a great.
So it's about the meaning, the associated meaning, what it means, right? So that's what impactful brands are. So then what is metrics? So how do we measure the impact of brands? And this is where it gets dicey, because brands are cognitions and emotions. Hard to measure cognitions and emotions.
Message.
That's real.
Well,
so that's why I say that it's a false binary, right? Like we can't really measure brand. What we can do is measure proxies to brand. Like we can ask people, do you love the brand? Do people talk about the brand? Like so these proxies to try to as sort of a one step removed from what's going on here and what's going on there.
So to kind of clarify what we say when we say impact, and you're absolutely right. What we've experienced is a lot of brands make money from the culture, but they don't support the culture that they're making money from.
Sure.
You see? So yes. And we call them culture vultures, right? Yep. Yes, you like us, you like our hair, you like da-da-da. So you make all these products to make money from our culture and things of that nature. But what are you doing to support our culture, to ensure that our culture thrives, to not only continue to produce these ideas that you now want to use and these styles and things of that nature, but also are able to survive, right?
Yeah.
So when we say impact over metrics, this is how we are measuring it, right? We're becoming a brand that whether you like us or not, the things that we're doing is undeniable. How about that, right? So we're saying, okay, how about this? We're a brand and we have a podcast, and not only do we interview very successful people, but very successful people give back directly on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It's undeniable. They're giving out scholarships, they're giving out mentorships, they're giving out information for grants and things of that nature. What we're doing is directly supporting the culture that is supporting us, right? And we have to be held accountable for that. And that's what we say, the impact part, right? Because you ask somebody to support you, give their time, give their resources, whatever, right? Support us. But then it has to be equal. How are we now supporting you to show you not only our appreciation, but the fact that we still live in the culture?
Yeah.
Right? The culture is us, right? So if we help you and you become better, then we become better as a culture, right? So when we talk about the impact part about that, it's okay, how many jobs have you helped create, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of educational tools have you presented to the people to help them educate themselves to get, to make better, smarter choices for their families and things of that nature, right? Because it's too many times that a lot of people, our own people, use the culture to get to a certain level, and then it's like, oh, F the culture, I'm out, I'm good. Now let them worry about it on their own. So
Yeah.
so that's the part that that when we say impact over metrics, that's the part that we're talking about, right? How are we directly impacting the culture? And we know that most times it's not going to even out to the sponsors and the messages and
Sure.
stuff like that. And we're okay with that. That's what we're saying. We're okay with not being the most wealthiest podcast out. We're okay with, not making all the, but when, like Jarrett says, when somebody comes up to us in the street and says, you know what, because of your podcast, I got a job, or I bought a house, or I started my own business, I'm now, that's our impact right there. Right.
I mean, to me, that's the metric of success.
Correct. There it is.
Right? The impact you make is on the way people think and feel about you. The metric of success is that people tell those testimonials, or they take your knowledge and then go, spread the word.
Yeah, it's real, man. Damn, I love this conversation. Shout out to Unc, man. Lewis Williams in the building. Shout out to Unc, man.
Yeah.
Nothing but love for you, Unc. You know what I mean?
What's up, Unc? Yeah, man. Shout out to Lewis, man. Look, once again, another phenomenal support system for us, right?
Yeah.
Not only the podcast, but for the culture, right? Because what he does is help uplift the culture and try to get us to a new place, in a better place. You know what I mean? Not only economically, socially, but mentally, because we keep forgetting about this mental part. Money is good, but if you don't understand money, you're gonna blow money. You understand you're not gonna create generation. You understand? So we have to always understand the mentals, right? Until we learn how to be better, until we learn how to treat each other better, then culturally we will not. It's gonna be like a snail instead of like, you know what I mean, a little faster of a pace, for us to evolve as a culture, as a people.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's real, man.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to Walt and shout out to the team. We're going to see you too at Black Week. I saw you speak at Black Week, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, that's going to be major. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm stoked for that, man. I like those brothers, man, and sisters.
Yeah.
I appreciate them taking on the responsibility of programming for us, because I think the refrain that's happening here is that our culture is often used as a vehicle for other people's capitalistic gains.
Absolutely.
And as a result, people are tourists in our culture, and they're able to sort of to benefit from it until they're done with it and go, you can have it back. I think you think of plenty of musical artists who have benefited from our culture in that way. But I think that when I talk about doing things in culture, when brands participate in culture, being a part of culture, I always tell them is you have to see culture as a place to give, not a place to take. You see it as a place. I'm contributing to the people as opposed to taking. And I think that Black Week is an example of that. It's like, we got game in this space, so we should be doing programming for us, such that we're able to not only fully leverage the social capital that comes from our networks, but also that we are gatekeeping how people engage in our culture, especially considering they typically tap us on the shoulder to ask, is this cool? Is this going to work? Is this going to fly? I think it's important that we have more agency when we think about those conversations.
But even that, it's the gift and the curse, right? We put ourselves on the line to create an event like that, this Black Week, that's going to have an impact throughout the culture, impact a lot of Black professionals and a lot of diverse professionals, yada, yada, yada. But guess what? How do you put on a Black Week if you can't get the support of the brands to put the money up for it? So it's the gift and the curses, right? It's like even something like them, right? You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I haven't seen Nike on a logo or something like a Google. Why is not Google sponsored? Why is not Microsoft? Why is not LinkedIn? Why is not some of these places just jump? It's no brainers.
Sometime if you build it, they will come.
Yeah. But some people don't fucking get to build. You put a brick up and they get discouraged.
That's right. Well, but we start this conversation talking about entrepreneurship. Like this is an entrepreneurial venture that they're undertaking. Yeah. They see a white space within the culture, and they are going to serve the culture. And I think that this is the first outing for them, and they're going to see this thing to be as great as we all do. It's going to materialize in that way. They're going to see a great outpouring of us there, and brands going to be like, "Hey, I want to be a part of that." Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd,
right?
Who do you allow in?
Yeah.
Now that's the gatekeeping.
You know what I'm
that they
saying?
gotta
What
do.
brand that is for the culture that actually understands what we're doing versus somebody who's kind of like pandering to be there and put a logo there.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think it's I think it's a learning experience for certain brands, right?
Okay.
Let's say they, because the easy answer is we talked about why Walt is so important and why it's because it's not many of us in the brands at the level to make the decisions,
Yeah.
right? To make the decision. So
Great.
when you have people that's not from the culture making decisions for the culture, then you get a bunch of ill steps. Let's just say ill steps, right?
That's right.
One of the biggest examples in the world was like the H&M campaign when they did the kid with the coolest monkey. Like, no way, no, unless you can show me. You have to prove this to me that you had somebody that's from our culture that was a senior advertiser, whoever that looked at that and was like, yeah, our culture is gonna accept that. Like, are you kidding me? So that the blackface Gucci campaign, like, it's no way you had somebody from our culture in a position that okayed that said, yeah, that shit is gonna fly, because anybody with any type of you could have got Shamika from 1262 to Webster that'd be like, are you goddamn dumb? Like, you put that out and we're gonna destroy you. You understand?
Now, I'll do you one better. Do you one better. So to your point, you need people in the room to understand how the external consumer will see this. However, you need a culture, an internal culture, such that that person feels safe saying it.
Message. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think sometimes you gotta fall on the sword. Some things just have to be said regardless of personal gain. I'm just being honest with you. We talked about it. Me and my cousin have talked about it. I've personally done it a bunch of times. Like, there's been times I've put myself at detriment.
Yeah.
I've done it many a times because I'm just like, I don't care. You're not gonna disrespect the culture in my face. You're not gonna do it on my watch. Like, somebody has to be that guardian, that sentry that says, I don't care, bro. You're not doing this on my watch. I will not be a part of this, because that if we have to do everything twice as bad and it takes us twice as long to build. One mistake tears it all down.
So how about this?
So, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you.
I love where this is going. Yeah.
But imagine this. You have overcome every adversity put in front of you, being a black man in this country where, like, everything's trying to kill you, everything's trying to bring you down, right? And you have defied gravity to find yourself in executive position in a boardroom, and you're like, man, I'm here, and I'm trying to hold the door open for other people to get in, and you see this campaign and you go, yo, this is some bull, nigga. Oh man. And you go, if I say something, will it jeopardize my role here? Which I'm with you there. You go, well, listen, it's my job to do this. Or do you go, I ain't trying to save these niggas. Like, what are you doing?
It's like, depends on where you are in life.
Y'all gonna be racist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, I'm playing the game. It's just part of the game. And guess what? My game, my end with Dr. Horn said it the best. She said, you know what? I understand certain things are happening. I understand I can't bring my whole self to work. Sometimes I have to fall back. But guess what? My goal is to beat the big boss.
Yes.
The big boss in the game, right? Just like the video games. And guess what? I can retire at a certain age and provide a certain lifestyle for my family for a long time, right? For a lifetime. How do you weigh that out, right?
And so I think my take has always been, I cannot judge people based on what I would do. Sort of the conversation we just had earlier about support, right? Like, I try to see people where they are and give them grace. There are times when I've worked at a company and, like, I have gone ham for someone. And I'm like, yo, like, I put my job on the line to support you. But when the tables were turned and I needed your support, people got real quiet. They may tell me behind the scenes, but they didn't speak up for me. And in my youth, I would be really upset at that. And I'm like, yo, that's not fair. But I thought to myself that like people don't make meaning the same way you do. People don't translate the world the same way you do. So, Chadeo, to your point, if it were me in that boardroom, I'd be like, yo, y'all playing yourselves.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, yo, do it anyway. All right, told y'all niggas. You know,
Right. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, I allow everybody to be themselves. And this is again another conversation that me and my cousin have emphatically. Like, you gotta allow people to be people. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, look, you can lie to your friends, lie to your family, lie to your significant other. You can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
One thing about me is if when I get up in the morning and I look in that mirror, if I don't like what I see, nothing else moves. Nothing else moves. You understand? Self-esteem is esteem in oneself. If I don't feel good about myself and the decisions that I'm making, then how can I possibly show up and be productive and support anybody else when I'm not being my true self? So I'm just saying, for me personally, like you said, I couldn't hold it in. Like if they did something like that, I would just let them know. Like,
raise up, gonna be trouble.
I'm saying, like, what are y'all doing? Now, again, if you went about doing it anyway, at least I can sleep at night to say, listen, I said something, right? I said
That's
something.
right.
My conscience is clear. You know, if I wasn't in a position to, X out the campaign or change it, at least I tried. Because once again, like, and I'm just being honest, like the older I get, the more I think about as when you're a child, you look at life through a child's lens. When you're adolescent, et cetera, et cetera. As an adult, as a parent, as a business owner, I look at life so completely different now, right? And I think about all the sacrifices that me and my cousin have just made in these last 2 years just to get to this level. And then I think about all the sacrifices that our ancestors made, including their lives, to even make it possible for us to even have this conversation. And I feel like we owe it. We like we talk about the culture, like I owe it to my culture, whether or not I fall on the sword, whether or not somebody follows me, we owe it to the culture to remember what was sacrificed for us to even get an opportunity to even get those positions. And we have to pay that forward. We have to be willing to, again, keep making sacrifices for future generations. Other than that, we end up at a roadblock, a standstill.
Yeah, if you're not willing to say you're almost as bad as the oppressors and the people that you're complicit.
There it is. That's all I'm saying.
Disagree.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And I don't knock you off. You gotta feed your family, but just realize that you're being complicit.
Right. I don't disagree. Here's one of the biggest learnings I had after writing the book. Okay. And actually, so the paperback version of the book comes out on September 10th. And I write about this. I wrote a chapter about this in the epilogue. And it was this. Man, the world is not objective. It's subjective. Things aren't the way they are the way that we are. Right? That's why for some, a cow is leather. For others, it's a deity. And for some, it's dinner. Which one is it? It's all those things, depending on who you are. Which means that if the world is not objective, it is subjective. That means your truth is just as valid as my truth. So long as your truth doesn't mean my oppression or my marginalization or my eradication, right? So therefore, when you have a perspective, I may go, I don't agree with it, but I see where you're coming from. I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. Having your perspective actually creates more heterogeneity. It allows us to see the world broader. And therefore, we get to better solutions and the like. So I say all that to say, in this setting, while my first inclination is like, well, couldn't be me. Your boy gonna say something. Couldn't be me. I just couldn't hold my tongue. Like I just couldn't. I got to say something. However, for those who do not, I see why you don't. I don't agree with it. I see why you don't. And your truth is just as valid as my truth. So I try not to see people through the meaning-making system that is my cultural frames and try to understand where people are, despite whether or not we agree.
That's a dope perspective. But then I would love to hear. Then when in corporate America, during your time at the agency or whatever, have you dealt with that? Was there a situation that you can mind telling us about that you did have to stand on this word, that you did have to stand up for the culture, that you did have to say, yo, this isn't right? Which one you don't mind sharing, bro? Because we got to give an example.
Hold on. It's story time again. We're going into another period. You know
we damn that 5th, 6th period now. We done took them through economics, business. We went culture. Let's go.
Let's go.
So this is at a time where there was I feel like immigration has been on the forefront of many conversations, but this is like 2017. I'm working in an agency, and the agency's like, we need to do something that's like, that's like gets out in the zeitgeist. It's like, PRable, whatever. And, someone's like, I've been thinking a lot about like immigration, and like, it would be cool if we did like a video or something. Some campaign talks about immigration. I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. And someone says like, we're all like from somewhere else. Like, all of us, like, and all of us came here like to realize a dream. And we all came here to like, our ancestors came here because they wanted something better for themselves. And like, I mean, they're going on, it's like this like whole like TED talk, and everyone in the room was like, yes, totally. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. And I was like, not my ancestors. Not my ancestors. We didn't come here on our own volition. Actually, we were dragged and pulled here. We were enslaved. My ancestors. And it was like, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm right. And in that moment, like, it was sobering, and we deaded the whole undertaking. But if I weren't there, that's what it would have gone with, because the heads were nodding vigorously. The vibes were super high, and they were all but writing a script to go with this narrative, this perspective, this thesis that they were putting forward. And while I get how they got there, it was not accurate, and it was not comprehensive of the American experience. So
we don't play that.
Yeah,
that's right. So I had to say something. I mean, it cracked a couple faces, and I was the bummer in the room, but like, bam, I wasn't going to not say something.
Yeah. Wow. Shit.
I got something for that though. Based on what you said about being subjective, hear me out on this. I agree with you 200%. What I feel like the world seems to always forget that, let's say the world is round, right? The world is round. That means life is a circle, right? For the person that doesn't say anything, for the person that only takes care of their family, you move out the hood, blah, blah, you living in the suburb, right? What I feel like they seem to not understand, and this is any culture, just because your family is good in the moment, you cannot protect your family from the circle of what life is when they walk outside your door.
Message.
That
Understand
part.
what I'm saying?
That part.
So perfect example. I just told you a perfect example. We walked in to a party with a billionaire. He's the minority owner of the Washington Nationals baseball team. Another guy, J. Alexander Martin. I don't know what his net worth is, but he has one of the most successful clothing brands in the world. Whatever.
Culture.
Right now, watch this. Now, let's say we're still starving. Let's say we're still like on that type of timing. Everything that you did to get your family safe, now your family's in this event where we walk into. Now here's the subjective part. So your family was good, their family's good, we not good. Now what's up? You see what I'm saying? Now you're subjective to what? How I'm feeling in the moment. You're subjective to how I feel about your life versus my life and the opportunities that got presented in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like, and that's what I feel like people forget, because again, life is a circle, right? It doesn't matter where you started, because, just ironically, however you want to say it, how many people end up meeting by random? How many people end up always being in different places so what you don't understand is what affects you affects us.
Yeah.
You understand? And I feel like that message is being lost so much, that you think that the safety of your economic or your social status is going to save you from the reality of the world, when it's not. Because unless you're going to live in a bubble, you got to go to the supermarket to buy food, the gas station. You understand? Everyday life will have you run into somebody that doesn't have your situation, your mindset, or your opportunities. And then what?
The scripture says, let them who have an ear, let them hear. And sometimes people just aren't able to hear it. Sometimes people are only able to see so far because of where they are in life. Sometimes people aren't able to see sort of the longer time horizon of how things play out, or the system of systems that is the life in which we live, how things are more interconnected than you think. So you may be like, I made out of the hood, my people good, my whatever, right? But like, you're still being impacted by the environment in which you're in, the context in which you have to operate. Not everybody can see it for what it is. Yeah. Right. And sometimes people, I mean, it's just like, it's like dating someone in your early 20s, and you're a good guy. right? And she just don't get it. She like treating you all kind of ways, and you go, what? I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And she just couldn't see you for who you were until 10 years later. And she's like, man, I played myself. Like, this guy, I had the best guy ever, and I totally mistreated him. I totally did all things wrong because I just couldn't see it.
That's what they,
Reversed it. Don't be pussy whip. Whip that pussy.
I'm trying to tell you what it is, like the college, like, you know what I mean? You can't allow that to hold us down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get that hand. You gotta get that hand in there. You gotta get that hand in there. It's the flip. It's the air.
Let's take a word from my sponsors.
That's all I'm saying, right? Because, and the reality of the situation is, right? The reality of the situation is, like I said, families, even if you don't have a big family, right? A lot of families are very large, right? Everybody's not making it out the hood.
Yeah.
So guess what? Even, your cars and your house, you know what you eventually do? You come back to the hood to see your family. Right. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? You go to an event with your family that's still in the hood. You understand? You still have to immerse. It's no way that you can live, because life doesn't work that way. It's no way, unless, again, you don't never leave your house and you don't never leave your protective bubble.
That's right.
There's no way that you cannot go into the world and not immerse yourself back into the reality of what everybody else is living through.
But that's not a perspective that everyone has.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can only evaluate or judge people based on where they are.
Yeah. You on mute, cuzzo. You on mute.
I can't argue with that. When you're right, you're right. That's real.
And it's funny because I've actually, it's funny because I've actually had those kind of conversations when you said about the girlfriends and stuff like that. Like, I've talked to a lot of women that I've dated back in the day. They're like, why we didn't work out? I was like, because you just didn't understand what it was in the moment. And vice versa. And listen, and devil's advocate, I will not exclude myself. I've messed up a lot of relationships where I wasn't ready, right? Where there was a woman that was like, yo, you don't understand. And I was just like, no. I don't. What am I doing wrong?
I don't see it. That's
the truth, man. There are definitely relationships that I look back and I was like, dude, I totally played myself. Good night. That woman was amazing. Totally played myself. But I wasn't in a place to see it. Right? It wasn't a place to see it. So sometimes you got to give people grace.
Yeah. No, I agree. And me and my like I said, we talk every day, we talk all day, because it's important for us to understand the conversations that we want to have before we have them, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier today. Like, we have podcasts and we've successfully had a 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour podcast with no dead space, like absolutely no dead space, where nobody's sitting there like
podcast with 500 people on it.
Right. Like, with nobody sitting there like, okay, so what do I say next?
That's not surprising me at all. You guys,
this is what we do.
I'm still on the boomerang clip, man.
That should brought a tear down. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Listen, I'm just telling you, man. I'm just telling you. We just feel so strongly, because I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Like, I don't live in the hood anymore, right? I live in suburbia, so to speak. I've been out 14 years now. But like I said, most of my family still lives there, right?
Yeah.
So even though when I come out of my house on a Sunday, it looks like what's that, Stepford Wives, and everybody, you know what I'm saying? The garage goes up on a Sunday on everybody's house. Everybody come up with a little lawnmower, make the left, make the right. You know what I'm saying? Even though it looked like that, where I live, when I go back home, it still bothers me, right? When my grandmother passed a couple years ago. I'm from Forest Projects, and when I go back to the hood and I go to visit her, and I go back and I have to get in the elevator, and the hallways are pissy, and you can smell the urine, and you can just see the just vileness of like, damn, I lived through this. Like, Jesus Christ, it plays on you mentally, because and this is where I don't know if it's called survivor's remorse, where that's why when people get rich, they want to kind of bring everybody, because you know what you made it out from. Yeah, you know the conditions. And you're like, you don't want nobody to still experience that, because as you get older and more experienced, you look back and be like, yo, how could anybody be productive living that way? How can anybody develop in a positive manner living that way? And that's why you see the numbers for success in these type of neighborhoods and people that grow up in these type of environments. Give me 1 second. We got something. Sorry about that. Again, the other podcast. But you know, when like I said, when you go back and you look at how other people are living and what they're experiencing, you understand what I'm saying? If you're any type of person with any type of empathy, whatever you want to call it, it's no way that you don't feel bad that people are still living that way. The people you love, right? Maybe your mother, your father, your uncle, it doesn't matter, your sisters. You look at it and it's like, as a person for the culture, you're like, yo, this is disgusting. Like, you understand? Like,
yo, I know exactly what you mean. And this is even just gonna go full circle to the beginning of our conversation. That's why I always preface what I've accomplished as just a blessing, man. Like, nothing short of a blessing. Because like, I grew up in Detroit, went to Cass Tech high school. We had, at any time, there's 4,000 people in the building in our high school. And the high school was a magnet school. There was like, you had to take a test to get in, like some of the brightest minds in the city at my school. And when I look at where I am versus where some of them are, there's a great disparity there. Am I more talented than them? No. Like, no. There are people who are a million times smarter than me, more talented than I am, better orators, better writers, better teachers, like just better than I am. But I've been given this opportunity by God.
Yeah.
And I treat it as such. I treat it as an opportunity, a gift that was given to me, not because I'm so great. There was no goodness on my part that all this stuff worked out. It was a gift from God. Now, that's what I believe because of my faith. But I also believe that faith without works is dead.
Okay.
So I work. I because I appreciate the gift that's been given to me, I go ham. Like, I work really hard because I realize it's a gift, and I honor it as such. So when I go back, I see my success relative to where I'm from, and I see it as like, man, like, I was very, very fortunate. Now, what can I do to sort of keep the door open?
There it is, right, like, there.
I can't write checkbooks for everybody.
Right.
However, I can provide the knowledge that I now have.
But the problem is, can I just add something there, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
The problem is, right, where we come from, right, and we just talked about it earlier, is the support, right? So all of us can't make it out, right? But, you know, I'm still in the jungle. I'm still in Parkchester right now, right? I still go outside. I get a lot of love. But guess what? All the people I grew up with, how many people are saying, yo, how do you do the clips? How do you do this? How do you book the guests? How do you do this? If we work together, it'd be so much easier. The problem is we all want to be the person. Yeah. Sometimes we all can't be the person. It's okay to be the person behind the scenes and build your situation and build the relationship. I'm gonna keep it all the way real. I'm not gonna say the person's name, but I had a young lady who I grew up with. She's like, yo, I love what you guys are doing. I said, you know what? Why don't you just be my assistant? Like, I'm booking all these talent. Like, yo, I'm working on the business. I'm trying to scale right now. I'm almost weeded, right? So I would love for you to speak to this guest. We're speaking to you. We're speaking to Dr. Matthew Knowles, speaking to Malik Yoba, all these people, right? You could build those relationships. You're the first point of contact.
That's right.
And guess what? Not one email sent. That's a hell of an opportunity, right? But now imagine if we did that and we actually executed it well, man. Sometimes just the mindset of our people.
Right.
To be like,
what the hell? No, you're right. But that's why, again, like, that's why this type of a show is so important. And DJ Graffiti says, shout out to Dion Walcott. We have to lift while we climb. So DJ Graffiti, that's exactly our motto. That's what the impact over metrics refers to. It's lifting as we climb, right? But this is why this type of show is so important, because once again, you heard Dr. Marcus Collins said there's other people in his neighborhood or that he went to school with that are super talented. But guess what? Talent without inspiration is what? Nothing, right? Talent without the understanding of what am I supposed to do with this talent can end up being misguided, right? And you can take your talents somewhere else and do other things. And that's what happens so much in our urban communities. Guys are again, there's no way that you can mistake that so many urban guys have developed Fortune 500 companies, right? Fortune 500 companies illegally, right?
Message.
Beach to Detroit.
You're right. That
Hey,
have
take it
built,
easy.
right,
Yeah, no, he's brilliant. The boy's brilliant.
You understand? How many of our inner city youth end up growing up and developing a company where it's like, bro, if you'd have did that the right way, you'd be on the NASDAQ right now. Like, you understand?
And here's the wild part.
Yeah, like,
so we can look at those things
yeah,
and be disheartened,
Mhm.
but then we can also see examples where that's where we want to be. So, for instance, DJ Graffiti get pulled up.
yeah,
DJ Graph is my guy. Like, we go back.
yeah,
That's
Bro,
my
yeah.
guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like, and Martin and I, DJ Graph and I, like, you know, we've always been like helping each other out.
Facts. He's a good brother, man.
And like so like the come up has always been like, yo, I'm gonna give you game, you give me game. Like we've had so many conversations where he just provided perspective that I didn't have. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. I appreciate that. And the hope is that I do that for him too. And there's this reciprocity between each other, that together we can all rise.
Yeah.
And the hope is that even that is why podcasts are so important, books are so important, keynote talks are so important, because these are just different vessels by which we can inspire, provide perspective, and provide knowledge so people can overcome their situation.
Yeah, man, shout out to DJ Graffiti. He said he did the same shit to me, man. We set up our first call. We met on LinkedIn. We set up a call. He's like, yo, bro, I'm listening to all your stuff, man, but you're a little too honest. Like, why you don't have to say it this. If you said it this way, right? Because then you still get the brands to look at you in a specific, in a certain light. And I'm like,
that's my guy,
some people get me like, yo, fuck that. I'm doing okay. And I'm like, nigga, that was real.
My guy, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Can we have you on the 16th? Pull up.
Like he's always just trying to make everybody around him better.
Straight up.
Right. And like
up.
it's that spirit of like humility, and it's that spirit of like gratitude that I think he gives, because he knows how much he's gotten. And that, like, so for me, I'm always that way. Like, anyone's asked me, like, you know, congratulations on all the things, how does it feel? And I go, I'm just so freaking grateful. I'm so unbelievably grateful. And what I found is that it's hard to be grateful and angry at the same time.
Message.
It's hard.
No lie. I that's me playing devil's advocate. Sometimes I'm grateful, but I'm angry as a motherfucker.
For me,
the lion.
It's hard to be grateful and to like not it's hard to be grateful and be like, I wish that person did more.
Yeah.
You know what?
Gotcha.
I'm grateful for what they did. Like, I'm thankful for what they did. I wish they could have done that, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good. And like, man, to be where we are, it's all good, fam.
Yeah.
Okay.
In hindsight,
I want to get into the Cliff Paul story, but I want to do the same thing that DJ Graffiti. I want to do it live, brother, and I would love to hear your perspective. Right? What advice would you give to me and my brother to grow this from a marketing perspective, from a business perspective, from what you've seen on LinkedIn and other places? What ideas would you think or give, or advice would you give us to change or do differently?
So I think there's a few things. I think that one, you've got your thing. Your thing is your thing. You have to give it time to grow. Patience is what I'd say. Just like you gotta be. You look at artists, musical artists, and go, man, they were overnight success. Nah. And they're like, fam, are you kidding me? I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, even my book. This is my debut book. I've been saying the same things for over a decade, and it's just now sort of catching hold in the marketplace. Over a decade, I've been preaching the same gospel, right? So I would say for you all, patience, and treat every win as like, measure yourself in inches, not in feet, not in miles, inches. Like,
hey, yo.
I'm sorry, Doc, because YouTube loves it.
I be trying to let you go, but when you use your hands and then you said measure yourself in inches, that was just crazy. That was crazy. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? If we're doing that, it's the 40 all day. 40.
Hey, yo.
40 all
got
day.
The Razor Ramon. We don't pull out. We don't break the Razor Ramon.
It's all day. 40 all day, no matter what. Cold weather, warm weather, the pool is 40. The gun never changes.
It's a different caliber over here.
The caliber never changes. How many times this motherfucker fire off? The caliber is the caliber. in Antarctica is still a 40. 6 months of life is still a 40.
Yeah, so my chest hurts. The real shit.
Oh my gosh, man.
Audio listeners are dying right now. Audio listeners, bear with us.
He's out of control. He's out of control. I'm just saying, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, he's out of control. Jarrett's out of control. Dr. Marcus.
Oh
my gosh, man.
Yeah,
Like, my
I'm just
side
telling you
hurts,
right now,
man.
man.
Oh gosh.
It's crazy right now. And look, I ain't gonna lie. Now that we talking all crazy, right? You know, we got a lot of female listeners, and they like.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
You start mentioning the 40, you get a chance.
Oh man.
Even in Antarctica.
In that case, if they're inquiring.
Did you miss me?
Okay.
Oh,
Measuring increments.
That's a good word right there.
nice cleanup. I can appreciate that type
That's
of
the
cleanup.
first thing. That's the first thing. Measuring increments. The second thing, dude, keep doing it. Just keep getting better.
Man.
Like every swing is an opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
Right. Like again, like we did the interview a year ago, Jared, almost a year ago to the date.
Yeah.
A year ago. Like y'all keep getting better. That part. Keep getting better over and over. Appraise yourself through increments, not massive swings.
Yeah.
I would also then think about, because you have an approach, you have a style, you have a point of view. Like I would respond to things that are happening in the zeitgeist. Like what would it look like to not saying that you use this approach, but like what Desus and Mero used to do, which I love them so much. Like, you know, like respond to the zeitgeist based on the things you all talk about. And like use the clips, use your whole thing, do your whole thing.
Yeah, we started doing that. We actually started doing that. My cousin, me and my cousin talked about that. Yeah, we call it real talk. We actually started doing that. Yeah.
Right. So it's not just the podcast is just sort of the flywheel,
right?
By which you do all the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real, man.
Yeah.
I think another thing that is it's not an issue for us, but something I think sometimes it's in our detriment, right? We have all these relationships, but we pride ourselves on not really asking for much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like you have somebody, like, I'm not just throwing his name out, like Paxton, like, you know, what kind of conversation do you have with Sir Paxton, right?
Yeah.
I check in, make sure I read the fan, but I don't want to make no ask. I just want you to see me working. I want to see it, and hopefully somebody does it. But then sometimes it's like, what's the point of having the relationships if you don't make the ask? So that's what the balance that I would love to know how your approach is to approaching those relationships, man, because we have so many. And I don't want to make it feel like it's not genuine, because everything we do is from the heart, bro.
I suffer from the same thing.
Okay.
I don't ask very much unless I absolutely need it.
Yeah.
And I try to give like 5 times before I ask for a thing.
Facts. Yeah.
It's like, how can I help? How can I help? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And I'm like, if you can, please, like, if you can't, no worries, no pressure. But like, please, God willing, inshallah, if you could do a thing for me.
Yeah.
But I don't ask often, and I probably should ask more. But I've always held the belief that, like, you know, I always thought of it this way, that we are put on this earth to serve. In my view, serve God and serve each other, right? So I'm always in the posture of, how can I serve? How can I help? And my hope is that there's reciprocity, that someone goes, how can I help you, Marcus? And I go, oh, well, what do I need? Well, actually, I could benefit from X, Y, and Z. And
that be the problem sometimes. I ain't gonna front. Unc asked that the other day, and I was kind of flabbergasted. So shout out to Lewis Williams. We on a call. He's like, "Yo, what do you guys need?"
You're like, "Whoa, what do I need?" And here's the best part: when you got people in your network, there's a woman you all should meet. Her name is Erica Lewis. She's at TikTok. She runs cultural partnerships at TikTok, and she'll ask me, like, you know, how can I help? And I go, "Well, can you do this?" And she go, "No, bigger." And I go, don't hit me with the.
No, we was, but I was like that. We was. But you said it was a female. You said she was a queen. She's from TikTok. PTSD. Yeah, no, he's a PTSD. PTSD.
Hell no. No.
Yo, wow,
Everybody have a great fucking week.
Yeah, we're gonna let you rock with that.
Oh, you're wild.
You know what it is, too, Dr. Collins. We feel like so it's two prongs. It's two prongs. When you develop a relationship with somebody, and I truly believe that, right? Because I'm a giver, right? I've done way more for people than I've ever gotten back in my eyes, right? When we talk about perspective, right? In return. And one of my favorite lines is, I've never had a me for me.
Yeah.
Right? I can sit here and be like, I've helped 20 people do this, 20 people do this, 20, and like impactfully, right? And I'm talking like major life-changing things. And then I go, you know what's crazy? I've been the plug for everybody else for 35 years, but I've never had a me for me, right? So it puts you in a space of when you start to develop these relationships to understand when to ask, right? When to ask, because sometimes you only get one ask, right?
Yeah,
You understand, depending on what the relationship is, when to ask your one ask, and then what to ask with that one ask. So what we have been trying to do, which has actually worked out very successfully for us, right? And it goes on the term of taking your small wins. When we're making these asks, we do it in a way that doesn't kind of look like a personal favor ask, right? So perfect example, right? We had a like a LinkedIn workshop where we had a panel and we're streaming live from LinkedIn. So then we'll call up Jay Alexander and and Doug and say, hey, listen, would you like to be on this panel that's talking about the importance of Black ownership and media and da-da-da, which makes sense for your brand and your da-da. So yes, we're asking you to support us, but it also supports you and your brand and helps you get visibility, etc. Right? So we've been doing things like that where it doesn't look like we're asking, it looks like we're providing opportunity for not only us, but for you, to show you that we appreciate what you bring to the table and we support you, and we're not trying to take the relationship for granted.
Dude, that is a bar. I never had a me for me.
Yeah, I never had a me for me. Yeah. And I'm not being funny, but almost everything that I've learned, I've been self-taught. My brain just fundamentally works that way. Like, I'm a person that only has to see it like once or twice, and then I'll get like 10 books and lock myself in the house and I'll learn it. Because I've never actually met a person to match my work ethic. You understand what I'm saying? And it took it took me last week, I actually had to sit down and think about all the things that I've actually accomplished versus all the things that I tried to accomplish and didn't finish. And when I actually wrote a list. And when I started to write a list, I'm like, damn, I only didn't finish 3 things, and that was only due to like COVID and things that kind of was out of my control. But damn, and when I started to list all the things that I've actually accomplished in my life, it's a landslide. And then I turn back and I'm like, damn, but if I had a me for me, Jesus, like if I've helped people get to this level, you understand what I'm saying? If I had a me for me, the possibilities would be endless. Yeah, they would be endless. You know what I mean? So that's our biggest thing, man. We don't, again, as givers, when you're a giver, you're very cautious of asking somebody for help because you never want to seem like a taker. Yeah. Now, people that are takers, they'll ask you for just the most minimal shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, picture me calling Paxton Baker for some bullshit. Like, oh, let me get tickets to the baseball game. Like, are you kidding me, bro?
Yes, right.
Like you can't
ask me for this, wasting my time for this thing.
Yeah, you couldn't buy $20 tickets. You bugging. But what we did do is we said, hey, listen, we might be in DC for an all-Black Expo conference, We're going to be interviewing some people. We're going to be in your neighborhood. Do you want to do a walkthrough? We can do another interview with you in person and And he like, oh, okay, That makes it. You understand what I'm saying? You gotta respect the grind and the hustle and the position that people are in, that you're developing these relationships with.
That's right.
Respect them, right? Respect them and don't abuse them and ask them for petty things, because in my mind, because I've done so much for so many people, if you ask me for bullshit, I cut you off.
But let me piggyback off of that though, right? You know why we make strategic asks? Because a lot of us sometimes there's a lot of messages in the movements. I don't have to ask certain questions because I'm watching how you move. Dr. Collins, I'm watching where you're going. I'm watching what appearances you're doing, what guest slots, how many guest slots, what events, why are you doing the events, what kind of impact that's having on your brand, right? So I'm looking at those things and saying, oh, that was a good fucking move, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't have to ask you. But I'm watching the movements, and sometimes we don't do that enough, right? Sometimes we just have the conversation, ask. No, it's got to be, like you said earlier, when I gave you the assist, I saw it 10 plays down. Yeah, I saw you was bringing the ball up court, and that's how you have to be, man. So sometimes it's just Look at the messages in the movements, even us. Look at why we're doing it, why we're having Dr. Collins, and why we're having the conversation that we're having, and what it means for us, and overall impact.
And when we're having the conversations, and when, because that's important too. The when we're having conversations.
Yes,
that's, you know, so you're absolutely right. I just wanted to add that in. It's the when also. Yeah, it's the win, because it only makes sense, right? It only makes sense. See the play and then continue to build across the board. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
I tell you, when we finish, when so said and done, bro. Dr. Collins, I'm saying now, we're gonna be the Clarence Avon to this shit.
That's right.
When it's all said and done, man. We have 132 relationships right now that we could connect the dots. I was going to connect the dots with you and DJ Graffiti. I'm like, yo, that's from the D. You know what I mean? You were like, oh, that's my brother, right? You know what I'm saying? But like, imagine that. So imagine when we get to 300 episodes and we're doing a more than a title banquet.
That's right.
With all the guests, and then giving an opportunity for our guests watch the show every time, like Majestic and Meek and anybody else is coming on. Yo, you get an absolute firsthand access to Dr. Collins. You can ask a question, you can shoot a shot, you can do this, whatever, and that's how we build the community, man. So I just want y'all to know what we got the great intentions in mind, man, and what we trying to do, man. Just some support goes a long effing way, y'all. We're gonna do something major for us,
fam. Y'all already doing it, man. It's like it's great to see. It's great to see. I'm like watching like every word I say, so I don't get tripped up.
It'd be like you're not gonna get that experience on ABC.
You're not gonna get it nowhere else. You know what I mean? Get it nowhere else, man.
Wait till we see you at Black Week, bro. We're gonna get some drinks. We're gonna bug out.
Oh gosh.
Even with Black Week, right? We already got the invitation to be at Black Week, but you know what we did? We said, hey, let's further the conversation. Not only, okay, are we going to be there? In what capacity can we be there?
Dude, can we be there? Live pod.
Right. A live pod. Maybe we might do a panel and a live pod. Like let's create a panel. What does that look like? Let's create a pod, you know, and if we're going to create a pod, how are we going to interview what guests and things of that nature to make it make sense relevant wise to support Black Week? Because again, like my cousin said, where's the sponsors, right? So if we're gonna interview people, let's interview people that make sense for Black Week, for sponsors to see what kind of impact this type of an event is having on the culture in real time.
Like that, like it. Let's get the global president Timberland. Let's get them on.
Right.
All right. And we just happen to know them, and she just happened to be coming on the show. So
look at that.
You know what I'm saying? So just like little stuff like that. Shout out to Dino, shout out to, you know what I mean? But like,
y'all doing it, man. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Thank
you, do it. Patience, man. Patience.
I appreciate you, bro. Do you want to? I know we got a couple minutes, but I didn't get to it the last time. I would love to hear the Cliff Paul story. The idea. I've got to know that. So for those that's an iconic brand for State Farm, an iconic campaign commercial. First of all, that the ROI, and I would love to know. But like, what was
we should have put on red polo shirts then if we was going to do that. We should have. No,
I would not. I would put on a red more than the title. Hold on, just in case y'all forgot. Y'all might not see this. Go ahead. Oh, hold up. I didn't do the setup. You're right.
We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
But just in case, we got to pay the bills, so make sure y'all scan the QR code. You know what I'm saying? Make sure we got courses, we got hats, we got mugs, we got cups. What's going to keep your Simply's cold for an hour and a half besides your more than a title mug? I don't know.
All
right, so here's the Cliff Paul story. I'll give you the Cliff Notes on it. So
wait. You got to get the bell. Got to get the bell on.
This last period, y'all. Make sure. In closing.
So I was at translation, and we were working with State Farm already, and we were doing all the magic jingle work. I don't know if you remember, but like a neighbor, State Farm is there, and the agent would show up. Right?
Yeah.
We're doing all that work, and one of those spots featured LeBron James. LeBron James is close with Steve Stout. LeBron's telling State Farm, like, y'all need to work with Stout, like he's the guy, which is kind of the end. And we're like killing it, man. We are killing it with the magic jingle work. And the client's like, hey, love what you guys are doing, especially getting like young people, quote unquote millennials. And I hate that moniker, but anyway, like, you know, we have this major investment in the NBA, but we're not seeing any like real material returns from it. Help. And we go, okay, cool. So the question we ask ourselves is, well, what business does State Farm have to be in the NBA? Like they were wrapping backboards and jumbotrons. It was a step and repeats. It's just wallpaper, basically. So it's like, well, what does State Farm believe as a brand? How do they see the world? Well, what does State Farm want to mean to the world? State Farm, they create insurance, so they provide insurance, but they exist to help people live life more confidently every day, right? And they just so happen to have thousands of agents across the country to help you make better decisions. They just so happen to sell insurance. But what they do is to help people live life more confidently every day. We go, all right, cool. So how does that play into the NBA? Well, there's an actual statistic for helping people in the NBA called an assist. And we go, oh, that's the way in, an assist. And you go, okay, well, who's responsible for the assists? Well, unless you're LeBron James, the point guard typically does most of the assists. At the time, the most sort of famous, beloved, talented point guard on the court was Chris Paul, who also happened to be the Players Association president. And this is at a time where the NBA was in a lockout. They were striking. And everyone loved Chris Paul. Everyone loved Chris Paul. He was like this beloved guy, like, just reputation.
Great image, everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
No
no blemishes. Yeah.
Exactly. So we knew that, like, we're going to go with point guard. We're going to land on assists. That's the way in. And the thing is, like, assists aren't sexy. No one tunes into ESPN to watch the assist of the week, just like insurance isn't sexy. So it's like all the right sort of all the right connective tissue. So we thought of an idea. It's that, what if we seeded a rumor to make people believe that Chris Paul had a twin brother from whom he was separated at birth, named Cliff Paul. One went on to be an all-star NBA player. The other went on to be an all-star State Farm agent. And the question we're posing is it real? And like, for me, when we sort of landed on this kind of creative hook, I was like, oh, we got to we got to Blair Witch Project this thing. Like,
Right.
We got to make people think it's real.
Right.
Like, we have to really make people think it's real. So we partnered with Deadspin and Complex just to start seeding the rumor that, when Chris Paul was on the court playing basketball, there was a guy off the court with a mustache who looked just like Chris Paul. Who is this guy? Small rumor. No one's paying attention to it, of course. But on Christmas Day, which is the highest viewership of NBA games, we aired the spot where Chris Paul was separated his brother Cliff Paul. One went on to be a State Farm agent, all-star. Another one to be a basketball player, all-star. Is it real? And when the spot dropped, we launched a Twitter handle for Cliff Paul, where Chris and Cliff were tweeting each other saying, I always knew something was missing in my life, and now I know what it is. It's my twin brother. It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh, that's fire. That's fire.
People are like,
that's genius.
What's going on?
That's genius.
We were able to get like Blake Griffin, Carmelo Anthony's wife, Lala, wife, but Kenny the Jet Smith, they all like chimed in, was like, oh, couldn't happen to better people. Happy for the Paul brothers. So
Right.
people are like, yo, what in the world is going on? In fact, Cliff Paul was trending over Merry Christmas on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Murder. So we just kind of kept going. We kept going with the campaign. Like, we made sure that Cliff Paul had credentials to the All-Star game, because that's the second highest viewership of basketball. We made sure they kept talking to each other. We put fat heads in all the seats at the then Staples Center, so that when people got to their seats, there's a fat head of Cliff Paul. So what do they do? Hold it up, take pictures. On camera during the game, you see the fat heads, right? It's just like over and over, this sort of repetition. And the theory was that we would use culture as a catalyst for recall, because the entire industry, the insurance industry, runs off a recall. That's why every insurance company has like some mnemonic, right? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farms for Allstate. That's Allstate standard. You in good hands. We are farmers. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
15 minutes gets 50% or less. Like, all these things were mnemonics that drive recall, because they know recall is the biggest predictor of pick up the phone to get a policy.
Right.
So the notion is that if we get everyone to talk about Cliff Paul as a byproduct of State Farm, then State Farm gets cultural recall. And if you look at the amount of of new policies that we were able to acquire for State Farm, it was a hockey stick. Unbelievable.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, oh man, that's a home run. Yeah, that shit got me excited.
More than a home run, bro. That's one of those like, how do you top that? Like that's almost the problem with like greatness, man. It's like we talked about it on the other show with Malik Yoba. It's like when you get a character that just embodies, like a person that just kind of embodies that character, you hit that fucking grand slam. It's like, how do you beat a Cliff Paul? How do you beat a Flow from Progressive at this point? Like, you understand? Like, how do you beat that now? It's like, Jesus, like.
My only problem, and I say it all the time, and I gotta say it to you, Dr. Collins, I just hate the fact that the brand still monetize more. Yes, you signed a contract. Yes,
the
you got this.
Yes, ROI,
yes, the ROI on that. Now you might have. Now your stock went up 20%. You just made $1 billion on it. You paid $20 million for the campaign. The person was working on it, maybe made a slight commission on it. Guess what? You paid the talent. They made a $5 million on it, but the brand made that much. There should be some sort of residual, some sort of royalty, something in the line, because they're still tapping into culture. Because that campaign took off, and Chris Paul and yourself probably didn't get the just due that shit got.
Well, I'd say that your criticism is warranted, and Marx would say that's the problem with capitalism. That capitalism is exploitation.
Right.
Damn.
Well, is it exploitation?
Yeah.
Hold on. Just hear me out.
I'm gonna exploit your labor.
But just hear me out.
To make this much and give you that much. I mean, like that is the cultural frame in which we operate. That's
but hear me out. Hear me out. If you hire a person for a job, whatever the job is, here's my terms and conditions. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm willing to pay. Yeah. And somebody accepts that, right? They accept, they sign, payment is sent through. Then what you do with it technically is what you do with it. You own it at that point. It's almost like what do you call that? Like pay for work. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you understand? Like, yeah, you guys signed on to do a campaign, but it would have to the whole culture would have to be changed to say, the whole culture would have to be changed, almost like the Michael Jordan deal, right? Yeah. The culture itself would have to be changed to say, listen, we're gonna do this deal, but what are the metrics that we're gonna be judged on, right? And get the metrics. Okay, we're expecting this, whatever. Now, if we beat those metrics, right? What is the bonus or what is the incentive of us creating something so phenomenal that this now goes on to might be the face of the company? Incentivized, right? Yep. So I think that conversation would have to be had before any ideas are transmitted, anything. You understand what I'm saying?
But it's the reason, but it's hard. It's like the new edition thing, right? Yes, we're signing with a different position, right? We need the money to come in. We got the money to come in, but guess what? Now we're the biggest group in the world. And we come back to fucking the projects and OP.
So I think that's the thing. It's like I signed the deal because the opportunity is better than what I have right now.
Bing, bong.
And I'm exploiting your situation,
right?
That for people of color is systematically designed to keep us vulnerable for exploitation.
Right. Message. Doesn't it work both ways though? Watch this now. That's on your resume forever.
Yeah.
Now, technically, let's say a company or another organization hires you to do something else based on the fact that you were the chief or whatever involved in that campaign, and now you make X amount of dollars from it. Do you now turn back and say, hey, State Farm, because I paid you to do this, even though I don't own it, I'm now getting more opportunities and things of that nature because I worked on that project? I think it's like a twofold thing because that's happened before.
But who gets the bonuses, the performance bonus, the CEO and stuff like that. Right. What you get is like what Mary Webb said. Now, if you go to her LinkedIn profile, it's the creator of Flow from Progressive. She has to constantly brand herself as that to get that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is. So I know we're wrapping up here because I got to get going. Yeah. But it kind of goes back to our original conversation. It's about perspective.
That's real.
Things aren't the way they are the way that we are.
Man, shit. I guess we're gonna wrap up, man. Just Dr. Collins, I enjoyed the hell out of this conversation. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
I haven't laughed this hard in a very long time. I'm grateful. I'm surprised you didn't hit me one with that one though, Paul.
Oh, yeah. No, 'cause I was about to give you flowers, bro. I didn't even catch it.
Yeah, nah, we wrapping up. So
I watch myself with y'all, man.
we gonna let you rock with that one. You know what I mean?
Just real talk, man. I just
Yeah.
want to say I told you this on the first episode, man. Just like, yo, thank you for all you do, man, for the culture, bro. Thank you for being an inspiration to people like myself, bro. Cuzzo, we see what you're doing. I know there's a lot of people, and then you do it with so much grace, and you do it at a level that makes sure that the door's gonna be left open for the next person, bro. So I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for going through everything you're doing. We know what it is, man. Life be lifing. You have a beautiful family, bro, and you're still doing this shit, and you're making it work, man. So
appreciate y'all.
You know,
Appreciate
man,
y'all.
we see and recognize and we celebrate you, bro.
If there's anything I can do, y'all let me know. And for Black Week, yo, if you
outside.
I need a guest, I'm the guest. You got it.
Oh, let's do it.
There you go.
Let's make it happen.
All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Much love, brother.
Peace.
All right, have a good one.
That was fire.
Nah,
Man,
yeah,
I'm excited, man. You ain't want to close off on anything, bro?
Yeah, no, just again, ladies and gentlemen, just so you guys know, again, when we talk about support, Dr. Marcus Collins was already a guest on the show, and he wanted to come back on the show for a part 2. You understand what I'm saying? To, you know, give us more stories, give us more information, drop more jewels, and again, like, you know, support comes in different ways and fashions, right? So once again, we're appreciative of that. Always remember that, like we said in the beginning, man, you know, when you see somebody, we can't complain about us not helping us if we don't help each other. And we always lead with that, right? We have absolutely no business asking anybody else to support us if we are not willing to go the distance and support each other. So that's all I want to say, man. Let's get out there and support the people that's actually doing the right thing. Let's try to show them, you know, the love and the compassion, and show them, yes, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. Keep going, right? Because we complain when people aren't doing the right thing and they're doing negativity. So it's like, pick a side of the fence, right? You can't complain when motherfuckers is doing negative things and they won't get off the ignorance. And then when somebody shows you different, you turn a blind eye to it, or you don't support them in their endeavors. So, you know, we got to continue that support, man. And once again, we appreciate y'all, man. You know,
man. Shout out to DJ Graffiti, shout out to my boy Marcus Gilmore, Mika, shout out to everybody on the Instagram. Check out Majestic Queen. Thank you for showing up. I think it was your first time pulling up, Queen. Thank you for pulling up and rocking with us for the entire episode. Like, much love, man. And yo, we just appreciate y'all. We do it for y'all.
And Marcus Gilmore, man, we checked up on you, man. We know you had hurt your leg or something like that. We had checked up on you, man. We got to touch bases back with Mark, you know, make sure he's doing good. I assume you're doing better right now, but we definitely gonna reach out, man. You know, because I remember he had hurt his leg, or
I think it was Achilles or something. Yeah,
Achilles or something. You know what I mean? So, you know, shout out to the bro Marcus, man. Hope you're doing better. Hope you're doing well, because health is wealth, right? We can't enjoy truly any type of success if we do not take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul, man. Another episode in the bag, man. Who but us, man? More than a title.
Next week, hold on, give them next week. We got Lola. We got Lola Macri. She's a marketing legend, y'all. Y'all know, top voice on LinkedIn. Been at con. She's a beast. We're gonna have a drink champs episode with her. She's gonna bring her wine. She's just coming through with the shits. And then shout out to them on the 18th, July 18th. We got the Job Father, Jermaine Murray, pulling back up, letting you know what's the job market looking like for tech for Black people, man. It's looking scary out there, but he's gonna give you tips and tricks what we can do to better our brand and get these opportunities. July 23rd, Owning Manhattan. We're pulling up with Owning Manhattan, the top Netflix show in the country. I just can't. Who with us? Who with us? Ryan Serhan, Jordan Marks, we coming through to the office. On Billionaires Row, we coming through.
Listen, you said Lola got some wine. We need to talk to Lola. She can't pull up with wine if we ain't got no wine. Lola, if you watching this show right now, we need some wine. What's going on? We got to get some wine. She can't. No, I'm just saying. If we support her, and she got wine, we need wine. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm not a big wine drinker, but you know, I'll support Lola.
Whoever gonna sponsor. That's what we went on. That note, we'll see y'all next week, Tuesday. Shout out, thank y'all for the love again, man. Another episode More Than Title. We out of here, baby.
What you know about me? Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just one.